Well, let's go over the basic steps on how to restring a guitar. So I'm going to do this on an electric guitar. My particular guitar has got your 3 strings up the top, 3 down the bottom on the head here. If you've got, say, a guitar like that and they're all the same, the principle is exactly the same. You're just going to be doing it on a different head, I guess, essentially. So first thing that I like to do is to loosen the current strings that are on here. Right? So if you've got currently strings on your guitar, you want to take those off first, and it's good to not just snap them off here, but to loosen them beforehand. Now I've got one of these handy things that you can pick up from most guitar stores that you just clump on here, and you can just start turning it. Alright, and that will make my string nice and loose. Okay, once it's that loose, I've then got a pair of clippers, okay, and I just cut it. Alright, now on this end, just twirl it off and pull it through the hole, okay, and then on the other end, I've got to go in through here and just pull it off. So you've removed all the old strings from your guitar. Next step is to restring it, okay? I like to give my guitar a bit of a clean at this stage, generally. So I like to clean the actual frets, because it's the best time to give your guitar a nice clean once your strings are off. So, I mean, a simple thing is just you can buy some oil, for example, or even just a little cloth with a bit of soap to actually do that. Depending on, I guess, the type of wood that your guitar has, you may want to use different types of wood, sort of cleaners and that sort of thing as well. Now, you can go to any music store and buy guitar strings. You can also buy them online. They come different sizes, so you've got like the Darios, you've got Elixirs, for example, depending on what you want. For me, I just bought some of these Elixirs. It comes in a 3 set. It was a bit cheaper for me. And my gauge are 10 to 46. Okay, so you actually see on there, says 10 to 46 on it, right? And it's got the dimensions of every string thickness. So you may want to change that depending on what sort of thickness of your strings you want. Also depends a lot on what sort of music you play. So if you're playing a lot lighter type of music, you may want to go for a lighter gauge, right? If you want to play heavier music, so if you want to play some rock or some metal, that sort of stuff, you may want to go for a heavier gauge because it'll give you a much bigger, fatter sound, especially when you're playing with distortion, for example. All right, so let's just go for a pack of these. All right, and you'll see that they've got different colors, right, for each string. Generally, your bronze on this brand anyway are your thickest, through to the silver for your lightest. Okay, if we open that pack up, see all the strings there. Okay, and if you can, use that as a gauge. Okay, so you know that the bronze, which is this one, is the thickest one. I like to always start with that one there. All right, so we're going to start with that E string, all right, with the bronze one. You can start on others. Other people have got different techniques and different ideas on which string you should start on. I don't really follow that too much. I don't think it really makes too much difference. So let's just start with that. So we're going to go up the very top, okay, because that's my E string up here. And we're going to feed it through the hole. Make sure that that doesn't come off. So that all the stuff will be loose because there's no strings holding it down. There's no tension on the strings. Okay? And we're going to feed that through the hole. Okay, now an important thing when it comes to this stage is making sure that you give it enough slack, because you don't want it to just tighten up and not go around the nut here just once, right? You want it to maybe go around a few times so that you've got spare space. Make sure it doesn't snap. There's not going to be too much wrong going on there. So just enough slack, all right? This will be different for every string, okay? But just give it enough. We'll say, well, let's leave about that much for it. And roughly that much. Not sure if you can see that. Free on the end. So we're going to use one of these puppies. This makes my life a lot easier when you're tightening up strings. Make sure you're tightening the right way as well, okay? So generally, if I'm turning it towards me, I'm loosening it. If I'm turning it away from me, I'm tightening it. Okay, so we're going to start. Now as I'm doing this, what you'll find is I'm pushing down with my finger down here, because otherwise what you'll find is if I just start turning it like that, it's going to start to tighten and then it's just going to loop over and I'm not going to really accomplish much. Okay? So let's just go back to where we were and start tightening. Now we don't want to tighten it too much, okay, because it is going to go out of tune very quickly. So just loosely make sure that they're just all on before we start any sort of tuning and everything, okay? The leftover part here, some rock stars like to sort of twirl it around and just leave it sort of all loose, you know, twirl it around in a circle. I'm not going to do that because I'm not a rock star. And we'll just cut that off, okay? So that's the E, done. So let's just go through the rest of them. Okay, so you've got all your 6 strings restrung and hopefully they're in the correct order. So you want to ensure that they're restrung in this particular order, all right? So the E string, which is the thicker string, is going on to this one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, if you've got one of the other guitars, the thicker string goes on the top one, down. Okay? So that's the order right there. So E, A, D, G, B, E, E, A, D, G, B, E. All right, so all the strings are now all loose, all right? And I like to give them a bit of an exercise right here, all right? So I'll just like to grab the string, sort of twist it and bend it. Not too much force because the last thing you want to do is pull that string and break it, okay? So do that with every string. Sort of run my finger down. Just to loosen them up a bit. Because what you don't want to happen is when you start playing the guitar once it's all in tune, for it to start going out of tune really quickly, okay? And that's what may happen if you haven't done a lot of these stretching exercises, because as the string is pulled under tension, you're going to find that it's going to go out of tune very easily. Next step, let's tune the guitar. So if you've got yourself a cheap little tuner like this, or if you've got a tuner, you know, on the pedals or anything like that, a foot switch, use that. Plug in your guitar, plug it into the tuner, and tune away. All right. So we want to make sure that that's E, A, D, G, B, E is the strings. Okay. So the guitar should now be in tune, right? So if you play a nice chord, it sounds relatively in tune. All right. So with your E, A, D, G, B, E as your tuning pattern. Now, next thing is what you'll find is if you start playing that guitar now, it's going to go out of tune very, very easily. So what we did before is just by pulling those strings, let's just do that again now that it's in tune. Strings will be tighter, so it's going to be a bit harder to do it. So don't be pulling it too hard because you may snap it. So just grab, I like to run it down a little bit. Now, if you know how to bend your strings, I'd recommend doing this. So let's just go from that top one. It's good to use just 2 fingers, these 2 fingers here, and just sort of bend each string. The top ones, bend them down. Do it. It's out of tune again. So these are all the exercises you want to do before you start playing that guitar, because it's going to go out of tune very easily otherwise. Alright, so it's staying relatively in tune now, but I would recommend repeating those exercises again. Pull some more strings, bend some more strings, play around for a bit, you know, just plug it into an amp and just sort of play around, get some, you know, get it used to playing a little bit. Do it a few times, you'll find that every time it may go a little bit out of tune, but it's going to be getting gradually less and less, and that should be it.